Calaroga Shark Media. Hello and welcome to Romance Weekly. This episode is titled Baked with Love, a Lasagna Romance.
Sarah, a 31-year-old woman with a penchant for culinary delights, found herself in an unlikely predicament. It all began with her infatuation for the charming food delivery guy, Mike, whose smile could brighten even the gloomiest of days. Every evening, Sarah would eagerly order her favorite dishes, from Thai curry to Italian pasta, just to see Mike's warm eyes and hear his cheerful voice as he handed over her meals. She didn't just enjoy the food, she savored every moment of their brief encounters. One rainy evening, as Mike stood on her doorstep holding a steaming box of pizza, he couldn't help but notice a pattern. "Another delivery, Sarah? You sure love your takeout." Sarah chuckled nervously, her cheeks flushed. "Well, you know, cooking just isn't my strong suit, and your delivery service is top-notch." Mike raised an eyebrow, an amused glint in his eyes. "It's always a pleasure to bring you food, but ordering so much takeout can't be good for your health." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't considered the consequences of her secret crush on Mike until now. "I guess you're right. Maybe I should try cooking for a change." Mike gave her a friendly smile. "You can always start with something simple. I'm sure you'll do great." As he left, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mixture of embarrassment and longing. She knew she needed to change her habits, not just for the sake of her health, but also to have a chance at getting closer to Mike. Over the next few weeks, Sarah attempted to cook. She started with basic recipes, following online tutorials and even asking friends for advice. There were a few disasters, but with each failed attempt, she became more determined to improve. One evening, she prepared a homemade lasagna, her most ambitious dish yet. It was far from perfect, but she felt a sense of accomplishment as she placed it on the table. As she sat down to eat, she couldn't help but miss the familiar knock on her door and the sight of Mike's smiling face. Determined to show her progress, Sarah ordered her last delivery, a simple salad, and waited anxiously. When Mike arrived, he noticed the lasagna on her dining table and raised an eyebrow. "Lasagna tonight, huh? Looks delicious," he commented. Sarah beamed with pride. "I made it myself, Mike. I've been practicing." Mike's eyes widened in surprise, and he couldn't hide his admiration. "That's impressive, Sarah. It looks great. I'm sure it tastes amazing." As they chatted, Sarah learned that Mike had a passion for cooking too. He shared stories of his culinary adventures and even gave her a few tips. Their connection grew stronger with each conversation, and Sarah felt her crush on Mike deepening. One night, after enjoying a homemade dinner together, Mike looked at Sarah with a twinkle in his eye. "You know, Sarah, I've really enjoyed our time together. You're an incredible person, and I feel a special connection with you." Sarah's heart raced, and she couldn't contain her feelings any longer. "Mike, I have to confess something. I didn't just order all that food because I love takeout. I did it because I wanted to see you." Mike's smile widened, and he reached out to hold her hand. "I had a feeling there was more to it. Sarah, I've been wanting to get to know you better too." As Sarah and Mike continued their loving relationship, they couldn't have been happier. They cherished every moment together, trying new foods and deepening their connection. Mike's job was flourishing, and Sarah was finding success in her new career. Life seemed perfect. One evening, after a long day at work, Sarah decided to surprise Mike with a special dinner. She had spent hours preparing a homemade lasagna, hoping to recreate the magic of that fateful night when they had first confessed their feelings for each other. Mike returned home, tired but excited for dinner. As they sat down at the table, Sarah presented her carefully crafted lasagna, She couldn't wait to see his reaction, expecting him to appreciate the effort she had put into making their favorite dish. To Sarah's surprise, Mike took a bite and hesitated before setting down his fork. His face showed a mix of confusion and disappointment. "Sarah, I appreciate the gesture, but this lasagna is not quite what I expected," Mike admitted gently. Sarah's heart sank, and she felt a wave of frustration wash over her. She had poured her heart into making the perfect meal, and Mike's reaction shattered her expectations. "What's wrong with it?" she asked, trying to hide her disappointment. Mike hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "It's just not the same as the lasagna we had that night. I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but it feels like something is missing." Sarah felt hurt and defensive. She had tried her best to recreate the magic of that night, and now it seemed like a failure. She couldn't help but let her emotions get the best of her. "You know what, Mike?" she snapped, her frustration bubbling over. "Maybe nothing is ever good enough for you. Maybe you should find someone who can meet all your expectations." With those words, Sarah stormed out of the dining room, leaving Mike stunned and regretful. He hadn't intended to hurt her feelings, but his comment had struck a nerve. One evening, as they sat in silence, Sarah spoke softly, tears in her eyes. "Mike, I thought we had something special, but it feels like we're drifting apart. Maybe we should take a break and figure out what we really want." Mike nodded, his own eyes glistening with sadness. "I never wanted to hurt you, Sarah. I just wish things could go back to the way they were." With heavy hearts, they decided to take a break from their relationship, hoping that time apart would help them find clarity and happiness once more. During their time apart, Sarah and Mike realized the depth of their feelings for each other. They missed the laughter, the shared dreams, and even the imperfect homemade lasagna. It was during this separation that they understood that true love wasn't about meeting every expectation. It was about accepting each other's flaws and growing together. After weeks of reflection and self-discovery, Sarah and Mike decided to give their love another chance. They recognized that their love story was worth fighting for, even if it meant making mistakes along the way. As they sat down to share a simple meal of homemade lasagna, they couldn't help but smile. With a playful twinkle in his eye, Mike leaned in closer to Sarah and said, "I thought this lasagna deserved a little extra sophistication," as he presented a bottle of their favorite wine. The dish might not have been perfect, but their love was.
Romance Weekly is a Calaroga Shark Media production, written and hosted by AI McIntyre, produced by Mark Francis. Executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott.
Calaroga Shark Media.